So yeah, Rooster Teeth got shut down yesterday. Why did they get shut down? Well, we're about to find out. Here we go.
I've been saying I want to stop streaming for 5 years. Well, for basically the past
Why would
5
you
years.
want to stop streaming? It's fun. If you don't enjoy streaming, then you're doing it wrong.
I still say to this day, I'm going to stop streaming in 5 years. But every time I say it, I inevitably get someone who's not happy with that. They say, Ludwig, you have to keep making content. I want to go to your channel and see what's going on.
Okay.
And I, a rational person, understand that's not possible. I can't be making content forever. I won't be entertaining forever. I won't even be around forever, so it doesn't make sense. One day.
No, that's not true. I disagree. I tremendously disagree. You could be 70 years old, and if you're a boring fucking old man, that's your problem.
I have to stop. I'd rather stop on my own terms. That makes a lot of sense. But then when other people stop without telling me and consulting me beforehand, I'm getting a little pissed off about it. And it just happened today with Rooster Teeth, a company that I think might have been one of the first YouTube videos I have ever watched when I started watching YouTube when I was 13 years old, is gone now. 21 years of making shit, they are gone now.
That's
and
right.
they did it without conferring with me. What the fuck? Now, obviously, Rooster Teeth's been a huge inspiration for a lot of people, like Laserbeam, who said he wouldn't have had a career without Rooster Teeth as an early inspiration. Nick from The Yard said that's one of the companies he wanted to work for when he was like a young little chap. You know, and I know a lot of people who were in that same boat.
Rooster Teeth was one of the originals. You know, like back in the 2000s, like there wasn't really anybody doing what Rooster Teeth was doing. And even in like the 2010s, like early on, nobody was still doing what Rooster Teeth was doing. So they were so early to the game. I think that's what really helped them grow a lot. And for a while, bro, they were killing it.
And I even get a small micro fraction of it now with people who want to work at off-brand, which is terrifying to think about. But Rooster Teeth has been an institution for a long, long time. They were the first podcast I'd ever watched. The Rooster Teeth podcast, I've probably seen 500 episodes. I've heard this intro so many times. I deadass thought you had to start a podcast by...
It's muted. Am I missing something? Am I missing something? It's copyrighted? Okay. Right, okay. Go to the comments. I broke my audio so it didn't play during the podcast intro, which was both embarrassing and funny. So yeah, that's about it. Okay. Guess you just fucked up. Yeah, what a great intro, guys. Yeah, those were the days, huh?
Introducing yourselves with the names of the people on the podcast or you wouldn't win an award until I had my own podcast. And I was like, actually, you can just talk about shit, fart, and cum, and that's fine, too.
Oh, people
now,
like
obviously,
that.
Rooster Teeth didn't have the most beautiful exit a company could. It wasn't the prettiest death. And not that you really can have a pretty death, I think. But you know, they got into some heat. We talked about it on this channel, October 2022.
The fall of Rooster
was
Teeth.
when a lot of the stuff came out internally on how they weren't the best company to work for. And they tried to clean up their image and do better. But what didn't come back was the views, the way that they were able to make money, the community members, that was never...
No, they could have had human sacrifices at the office on a daily basis, but if the content was S tier, people would still tune in. This is something that I firmly believe. I firmly believe that the entertainment consumer does not care about any degree of morality or ethics whatsoever, and the only exception is if the company is a big pusher of social movements, right? Because you always have these people that are like, oh, well, they've always got to make a statement about this. They've always got to say something about it. And yeah. If you do that and then it gets exposed that you're actually doing, you know, on your own, all of the bad stuff that you're complaining about, well, then, yes, obviously people will not like that. However, otherwise, nobody gives a fuck about it. I'm going to tell you guys something. I'm going to hit you with a fact. If they brought back the Roman Colosseums, there would be more people that would watch that than the Super Bowl. Because people like to be entertained. And we weren't monkeys that long ago, right? I mean, it's only been a few million years, right? So... they already have, it's called the fucking UFC. Yeah, but people don't die in the UFC, right? So it's not, the stakes aren't as high. So there's not really as big of a reason to watch. But like if people died there, then it would be totally different, right? Way more people would watch, right? It's not even a question. And so nobody really cares about any of this drama unless it's a company that likes putting itself out there as like a moral arbiter.
Where it once was like 10 years ago. And it's tough because they are a huge company. I mean, they have hundreds of employees. And they had to deal with several rounds of layoffs like that have happened basically all over esports and the gaming industry and in the content creator industry. But they dealt with it until today. And the CEO, Jordan, threw out a message on Rooster Teeth's website. And they basically said that, hey, it's been tough to keep Rooster Teeth running due to challenges facing digital media resulting from fundamental shifts in consumer behavior and monetization across platforms, advertising, and patronage.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. Because I think Rooster Teeth did a lot right. One of the things that they did that I thought was super sick is that they had all their community members, all of the paying patronage, like they talked about there, on their own website, roosterteeth.com. They weren't beholden to a YouTube or a Twitch or even like a Patreon. They had their own thing. They were able to service all their videos to their subscribing members through their own page and then get the largest cut of it, which is always really smart to me. Yeah. They always said that they even thought YouTube was like their competitor, which is a mindset that nobody has nowadays. They're just like, oh, we have to do YouTube. Back in the day, they were doing stuff before YouTube, which is crazy to think about. But eventually...
Yeah, Rooster Teeth predates YouTube, I'm pretty sure.
They switched, right? They sold, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. And I think they did some things that might be wrong. But it's not exactly like this death of Rooster Teeth was a surprise. You know? I think it's been pretty obvious. I do a daily check-in, or not a daily check-in. I do like every 6-month check-in. I do like a little self-indulgent 6-month check-in where I look at a YouTube channel, YouTuber, or creator that I like, and I see what they're up to if I haven't watched them in a long time.
Sure.
Just, let's see if they're still kicking, if they're still killing it. Even if I don't like what they're currently doing, if it's not my interest currently, I want to make sure they're doing well or at least see what's up.
Yeah.
And, things haven't been so up for Rooster Teeth. AT&T was talking about trying to sell Rooster Teeth literally 3 years ago. So writing has been on the wall. Clearly, they weren't able to find a buyer, and so they decided it was better to just cut their losses and stop at least losing money. Now, this doesn't mean that everything Rooster Teeth has created is gone forever.
The problem, again, the reason why Rooster Teeth killed itself by making bad content. It's literally that simple. That's it. That's the bottom line. And after the video, I'll go through the analytics, and we'll look at the analytics.
Are still in conversations to sell their other IP like Red vs. Blue, Ruby, and Genlock, and those more valuable IPs might be purchased by someone, more individually rather than having to buy the whole of Rooster Teeth.
Yeah.
And then also, I actually work with Rooster Teeth with the Yard Podcast. They have a podcast network.
Yeah, I was actually going to work with them too.
In their network, they sell ads
like
across
5
all
years
those
ago.
podcasts. The Yard is one of those, and we actually got an email that's like, "Hey, we're still around." I don't know if they're around forever or how long they'll be around, but for now they are, and we'll still get ads for the Yard podcast that we will eventually ruin and not get paid for. So there is that. But let's go to, I think, why Rooster Teeth might have collapsed. And it starts
let's see some numbers.
You might know, Machinima. And Machinima eventually became a company called Fullscreen, which purchased Rooster Teeth in 2014 for an undisclosed amount of money.
$17.
And the reason they were purchased, according to Bernie Burns, one of the founders of Rooster Teeth, was to be able to compete with the big conglomerates like HBO and Netflix, who they saw as their modern day, at the time, competitors.
Well, that didn't work.
And I get that. You're not going to be able to outscale a Netflix or HBO unless you have the backing of a much larger company, which at that point was Fullscreen for them. And then Fullscreen got bought by Otter Media, who also owned Crunchyroll, and then that got rolled into like Warner Media, part of AT&T, which eventually got split off into Warner Bros. Discovery, which is a merger between Warner Bros. And Discovery, owned by AT&T as their entertainment arm. It's a lot of fucking hands that were being transferred along the way.
Think about how many guys are getting paid to make all these distinctions, bro. Millions of dollars.
A lot of corporate companies, and a lot
That's
of
why
people
lawyers make a lot of money.
Corporate mergers suck. We just have to stop supporting them and start fighting them.
Rooster Teeth was bought by Fullscreen, who was bought by Otter Media, who was owned by AT&T, who was bought by WB, who was bought by Discovery, who then shut it all down. Bro, shut the fuck up. Like, the reason why Rooster Teeth got shut down is because nobody was watching the videos. Nobody was consuming the content. You just look at the numbers. It's the same reason why they shut down G4. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's because of AT&T. No, anybody would have made this decision. They weren't profitable. They weren't even close. There's no way that they were. I missed G4. Yeah, no, you don't miss G4. You missed 2004 because you got G4 back and nobody liked it.
I don't know if that's necessarily true. I'm sure there are examples of corporate mergers that have worked. And even this one, after the merger...
To be fair, the new G4 was kind of bad in a lot of ways. So it's not an exact comparison, but hey.
There was a lot of success. This is RTX, which is the convention that
they didn't have the girls dancing around in bikinis.
They shut it down this past December.
Why would you get rid of that?
It started with an attendance of 600 in 2011,
so
and they climbed
stupid.
every single year. 5,000, 10,000, 30,000, 45,000.
Yeah.
And this is after the merger. They hit peaks of 60,000 people attending every year. Now, I don't think Rooster Teeth was aided by COVID. I think that expedited the shutdown of Rooster Teeth. They might have been around for another few years, or they might have even been able to turn things around had COVID not been a thing. But it does make me think about my company. Because this is Off-Brand, a company I'm also hoping to scale up. And when I scale up a company, I look at the
his situation is totally different. It's nothing. It's not like Rooster Teeth at all. Because Off-Brand makes shows. They produce shows. Rooster Teeth produces content. So if you're basically doing the work for setting up a show, there's always going to be people that want you to set up shows. And really, that's your business to lose if you do a bad job setting up a show. So, yeah, I mean, this is just really, they're completely different things. I don't think Ludwig has anything to worry about in this way. The only thing that you have to worry about whenever you're making a production company like what Ludwig has is making sure that every single show that you do goes extremely well. And that even goes as far as being selective with the shows that you do, so you're not, lumped together with a bad show, even though it might not be your fault.
Examples of other companies who have done that in the space. And I think a lot of them have an issue where they are basically built around a singular creator, and if that creator goes and the company goes. But in Rooster Teeth's case, they did the unthinkable. It wasn't based around any specific creator. The brand Rooster Teeth is much larger than any individual person, which is a very impressive thing to do.
Well, it's a media brand, which is like very different than, for example, he wants to do an ad. I could do one too. Well, that's Starforge, right? So obviously Starforge has a lot to do with the success of the content creators that push Starforge, but also the PCs themselves are either going to stand on their own or they're not. And that's a completely different market. So like basically Ludwig is doing business-to-business marketing, effectively, right? Like, he's not really marketing direct-to-consumer. So his goals are totally different and are actually much more in line with, like, his networking accountability and possibilities, more so than, like, his entertainment value. Whereas, like, if you're selling a product, like, for example, a pre-made PC, that is going to be completely based off of the value proposition that PC provides at that price point. And if the value proposition isn't there, people won't buy them. It's literally that simple. Whereas also with Rooster Teeth, it's the value proposition of the entertainment value of the content.
However, they did sell out. They did eventually get a buyer. And I'm not saying that's bad, right? They could have had good reasons to do it. I don't think it was just to make fucking money and get out of there. But I do think it is what made them lose the edge and the charm, because it was no longer about just what the employees wanted to make and the cool shit they wanted to make happen. It was about also feeding the bottom line and the demands.
This is also a really big problem that a lot of people get into, and this is also a lot of like streamers and YouTubers have this problem. YouTubers have it a lot less, but streamers have it especially. Because a lot of streamers and people try to sell a fantasy of like, we're friends and we're just playing video games together. But the reality is that they're in a studio and they're making a lot of money and you're just sitting in your mom's basement. And like, there's a certain level of parasocial expectation that streams have. And it's actually been one of the reasons why, like, for me, like, you see a lot of streamers, and this used to be extremely common. It's not as common anymore. Like, a lot of streamers don't like talking about how much money they make or anything like that because they think that that disconnects them from their audience, because now their audience won't be able to relate to them in the same way. And there's a lot of different ways it does. Yeah, and if you want to say it does, then it does, for sure. But the point is that there is a fantasy that is going on there. And it is a fantasy. It's not real, but the viewers want it to be real.
Of the owner of what you are trying to create, which I've talked about this before. I'm hoping to avoid by making Off-Brand a workers' co-op, where all of the workers are owning the company and getting to decide what they do, what they make, how much they make, et cetera, et cetera. And my goal with that is to make something that lasts. Nothing lasts forever. You know, that's a fact. But I'd like to be able to make a sustainable company that makes cool shit, that if you work at, makes your life better, and hopefully
a co-op. I don't think is gonna, like, I don't really know a lot about this. I don't think that having a co-op is going to future-proof a business, because the reason why is because the focus is not on the end product. Anything that does not empower the end product, and you can make the abstract argument that a co-op will make people feel more invested and therefore they'll work harder. Sure, I can understand that argument, but I don't think that's very strong in general. And I think a much stronger argument overall is that if you're focusing on something that is not the actual business and not the actual product that you're selling, then you're going to have problems. That's what matters the most. And the moment that you stop thinking about the customer is the moment the customer stops thinking about you.
In 20 years, you don't see the shutdown of that, and that's able to outlive me. That's just my fucking goal. Anyway, I wanted to get that out there. Maybe it'll crash and burn, and this will all be an embarrassing failure that we'll talk about in years from now. But I'll take the risk, and I'll put my all into it so it doesn't happen. And I appreciate companies like Rooster Teeth for being examples. Even if it didn't work out, 21 years is fucking impressive, and the people who made it deserve to get their laurels now. And may it rest in our memories. Shout out Rooster Teeth for inspiring everyone. And that's all. Subscribe. See you later. Goodbye.
Yeah, I mean, I was inspired by Rooster Teeth back in the day. I mean, I'll fucking tell you that. I think that a lot of people have been. I mean, the truth is, Rooster Teeth was one of the original content creators on YouTube. I mean, they were one of the OGs. I mean, fuck, man. Like, I think Ludwig is right, and it's sad to see what happened, right? It really is. But the truth is that, fuck, that's life. Yeah, Funhouse kept me sane for years. Yeah, you don't just manage media burning money with the expectation that something will be huge and pay for all other mediocre content. That just happens once or twice. I mean, you just don't manage. So I really have to correct you here. You don't just manage media burning money in the expectation that something would be huge and pay for all the other mediocre stuff. Welcome to venture capitalism, because with all the mediocre stuff, well, you write that off your taxes, and then you have to pay less taxes on the things that are huge. It's a fucking scam. Like, I remember whenever somebody explained that to me, I was like, I should start one of these venture capitalist firms. This is a really good idea. I'm like, holy fuck. No, I think that you're actually totally wrong about this, and I think it's extremely common that media companies do this exact thing. So anyway, I'll go ahead and I'm going to look and show you guys why Rooster Teeth failed, okay? So we're going to go to Social Blade, and as you can see right here, you have... This is their amount of views, and do we have a longer longitudinal detailed... let's go ahead and let's just start with this, right? So they lost 10,000 subscribers on the 3rd, and this was before they announced that they were leaving, that they were disbanding. And if you go here, monthly subscribers gained. And so if you look every single month, you have a minus 10,000, except for this one, and it was only a 0. And if you go, this is also minus 10,000. This one was a 0. Then minus 10,000. This one's minus 30,000. They had a pretty bad month there. That was a month where they got exposed for all of that bad business practice stuff. And so they lost more subscribers that month. And then in May 2021, they managed to gain actually 10,000 subscribers. Pretty crazy there. And then they went back to their usual norm of losing 10,000 subscribers. So if you're on a boat that's leaking water for 3 years, what do you think is going to happen to the boat? I'll tell you what's going to happen. It's going to sink. The boat's going to sink. And I'm going to be honest, guys. These guys were at the bottom of the ocean years ago, and it just wasn't, they just didn't realize it. They didn't see it yet. So let's go back. We'll look at this here. Look at video views. Subscribers, minus 10,000, and it's a green number. Estimated earnings, $9,000. So let's assume that they made $15,000. We're going to be really generous about this. Do you think that $15,000 is going to cover the salaries of everybody that works in that company? I bet it's fucking not. And I understand that they have Patreon and other things as well. But let's be honest, YouTube revenue matters a whole lot more whenever you're getting a lot more views. So you look at the video views for the last 30 days, 2.4 million views. This is my Clips channel. Today, we've had 2.7 million views. This is just the Clips channel. If you compare to Ludwig, 48 million views. He had 41 million views right here on this day whenever I guess he uploaded a video. Look at that. Ludwig is killing it. He's popping off. Let's look at Immeru. 16 million views. Also killing it. Look at that. Look at her channel's gone up a lot. Apparently, I think she's been adding, like, doing a lot of shorts and stuff like that now, too. And so that's apparently helped her a lot. And so, yeah, she's doing great. And so if you compare this to anybody else who is successful, XQC, oh, there you go, right? 10 million views. XQC has like 5 different YouTube channels. Like, I get recommended videos from XQC's YouTube channels constantly. And I'm not exactly sure, but like, look at this, right? Average views, 30 million, 20 million, 30 million. Bro, he is farming. He has been farming for a long, long time. And again, let's go back to Rooster Teeth. Like, if you see a graph like this, this is a bad graph, right? Like, this is clearly a very, very, very bad graph. When was the last time that they had 3 videos in a row get over 200,000 views? 3 videos in a row that get over 200,000 views. Let's see if we can find one, all right? Okay, so looking for 200,000 views. We're going to scroll down. It's 93, almost got... Okay, 300,000. Okay, the last, then the one after is at 9,000. This is at 16,000. $147, 18, and 24. So we're already into 1 year ago. Jesus. 316. Oh, nope. 200. Nope. Nope. Almost with this little run here. 200. Nope. They've been going down since 2020, realistically. I mean, this is bad. We're into 2 years ago at this point. Jeez, I actually want to keep going. I kind of want to get to the bottom of this and see what's going on here. Okay, this is 200. No, the other ones are bad. It feels like the lower I go, the higher the numbers are, just in general. Man. We're going into... Are we going to be into 3 years ago soon? Well, that's 200. Okay, no, not quite. Oh my god. Yeah, like, how far are we going to have to go here? 3 years ago. So this was even before all of that drama happened. Oh my god. I'm just going to scroll down. Is this just all the same? Oh, that's 200. Okay. Oh, here we go. Here we go. 3 years ago, look at this. 100, 500,000, 400,000, 400,000, 600, 700,000 almost, 97,000, not so good, 675,000, 200,000, 262,000, 1.1 million, 2 million, 261. See, they were farming, and then they stopped farming. That title, though, yeah, but the title works. They have shows on their own website? Yeah, but, like, why would you make... haven't they had shows on their own website for years? They probably had shows on their own website back then, too. That's COVID numbers? Yeah, there could be a number of different reasons for that. But either way, if you look at these videos, the views on them are terrible. Nobody's watching the content. So if you want to ask who killed Rooster Teeth, I'll tell you who killed Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth killed Rooster Teeth. And how did they do it? By making bad content. That's the reason. The content was simply not engaging to the audience. And if it was engaging to the audience, well, then of course people would watch it, but it wasn't. So that's the reason. So what's bad about versus now versus then? Well, before they were getting views, and now they're not. That's what's bad. But why? I don't know. I'd probably have to spend dozens of hours figuring out the reason for that. Like, I really don't know why. And it doesn't matter really why, does it? Does it really matter what the reason is whenever you're not making any money? No, it doesn't, because you're still not making any money. Sad to see.